life is going to be hard, but like there's so much like joy in it too. And, let's just focus on that, like take the good and the bad and just like ride the wave.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
Well, we'll just get it going. I appreciate you for jumping on.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
For those who don't know, this is Karli. I call you Karli Jo Thomas. I like the Joe. The Joe's
too. Yeah, I do
so
too.
Is that something you use in the for fighting or?
Nah, it's just, obviously Joe's my middle name. And I used to actually really not like Joe when I was a kid, just because like it was a boy's name, and I was a tomboy all the time, so like it was just kind of weird. But now that I'm older, I love Karli Jo.
It just rolls. KJ.
Oh yeah, for sure. It makes
KJ.
sense. Yeah, my mom picked that. They picked Joe because that's my dad's name's Joseph, so they're like wanted to. I was the last kid. They're like, let's give her a Joe.
Pass the lineage.
Yeah.
Well, so I've been doing this a lot more now. This is the Relentless Project challenge coin.
Cool.
So what these are back in the, what a challenge coin is?
No.
So, and I get this wrong all the time, but I guess it was started like in the Roman era.
Okay.
So you would collect these coins to show like you were a part of this group or you were like doing something good. And then the military kind of adopted it for like their units and stuff like that. And now police departments do it. It's like if you're at a training with other police departments, hey, this is our challenge coin, and you kind of like something to trade. So you're officially relentless.
Thank
you got the relentless.
That's dope.
You can't spend it. You can't use it for anything, but you can hang it up.
Special.
Looks cool.
We gotta keep it forever.
Yeah, I want it in your pocket in your next fight. So they have to take it out of you. No, but yeah. So I've been following you for a little bit. Obviously, you've been kind of shaking up the fight game, especially for the females. Like a lot of people underestimate, I think, females in the fight industry, and I think some of the most exciting fights I have seen have been females.
Yeah,
especially your last fight. That was brutal and violent, and I fucking loved every part of it. And then you come out smiling, you're like, oh, how was it? Like, it was violent, actually. It was pretty violent. But before we get into that, I like to kind of dive into someone's background.
Yeah, for sure.
You grew up I've never even heard of Smock. Where's Smock?
So, okay, do you know where Periopolis is at?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
If it ain't Pittsburgh or Erie.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Philly, I guess.
So it's like further down south in PA. So basically it's like Smock's like between here and like Morgantown kind of. So I'd say it's like right in the middle there. It's a little patch town. We actually didn't like live in the patch. We lived like right on the outskirts of it, but like that was our address, Smock, PA, when we were kids growing up. So I lived there with my mom and my dad in a little trailer. We had a handful of acres. My grandparents lived above the hill from us. My cousins lived next door, across the field. Had horses growing up,
It's like a tight community.
Yeah, rode horses my entire life, always playing outside in the dirt, in the woods with me and my sister. Yeah, that's kind of just it.
So that's interesting because that's like a different way of like I grew up inner city.
Yeah.
Some would call it ghetto, but I feel like people share a lot of similar, like we learn a lot of the same lessons in different ways as children.
For sure.
How was that experience for you, and how does coming from a small patch town, like how do you get to Pittsburgh from there?
Yeah, so really through training is how I discovered. I obviously knew Pittsburgh when we were kids growing up. We'd go sometimes just to like, I don't even really know. We go to like the museum or something like that, in Pittsburgh. And that was like an adventure because it was like an hour away from home and it was a totally different like atmosphere than like what we grew up at. But really got to Pittsburgh and moved here because of just training. Used to train at All-American MMA Academy down in Uniontown with Nick Brown and those guys down there. And then I actually started coming up to Pittsburgh, training at sparring Saturdays at Stout, sometimes at the Academy, and then Mat Factories on Sunday. And eventually just made the transition to like, I think I need to go up here and train full time because I was just getting more quantity of training partners, more girls my size, more guys my size. So it was just like a little bit better training for me. And then I was with Justin too, so it kind of just made sense to eventually move up here.
Is there fighting or wrestling or anything like that in Smock? Like,
in Smock, no, there's like nothing. Like the only really like MMA gym in Uniontown, it was All American MMA Academy. That was pretty much it. From there to Pittsburgh, or from there to Morgantown. Like the next gym closest would have been Morgantown. So, and actually growing up, like when I first started training, it wasn't even called All American MMA Academy. It was called Uniontown Fight Club. Whole different coach and everything like that, which I'm sure we'll talk about some of that stuff later on. But so that's where I started at. That was like the only option if you wanted to train. MMA, I mean, there was some boxing gyms and stuff like that. And obviously like wrestling was pretty big in the area. But like that was mostly done through your high school or like middle school, junior high, all that, elementary. I mean, we didn't really have like a lot of clubs and stuff around. So yeah, that was pretty much like the only place to train.
This is one question I've always wanted to start like asking people, because, as a quote unquote host, you try to introduce someone, right?
Yeah.
But like you can never, like I can introduce you from what I know. How would you introduce you? Like, what would you describe? Who is Karli Jo? And someone's like, oh, what do you do? Who are you? Like,
I mean, naturally, I would say I'm a MMA fighter. I think that's a pretty big part of who I am. It's kind of hard to deny that. I start talking about my life, and that comes up in some way, shape, or form. But aside from that, I think I'm a pretty like introverted person for the most time. Like I like to stay to myself. Have a little circle of friends, and I'm kind of just like in my own little world, I'd say. I don't really get out too much or do much besides, train, be in the gym, hang out at home. So I'm kind of boring outside of training, really.
I don't know. I mean, to do something like this, you gotta be a special breed.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
So so you started wrestling, obviously. How does that come? Like, I've been trying to get my daughter into.
Yeah.
She did jiu-jitsu for like a couple years. She was hitting, and then she was just like, I want to do cheer.
Yeah.
Which technically, that's typically how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to get her back. What was the thing that caught your interest that kind of kept you going with something aggressive and violent like wrestling?
Really, like, I mean, like I played soccer and stuff when I was a kid. That was like my main sport from like 5 to like really even like my junior year in high school. Like I played soccer for that whole entire time, and I was always a super competitive athlete. Like even on the soccer field, like I was aggressive and like shouldered people. Like I would run in, like I was just kind of like always like that. And I even played goalkeeper for a little while because like I just wasn't scared to be in that like fire. So I think that's why the fighting was like so like, man, this is cool, because like it was that all the time, and I wouldn't get in trouble for it. Like if I suplex this girl, I can't even suplex anybody, but like if I throw this girl or take her down, or like I'm not gonna get in trouble for it. And I think that was like kind of I don't know. I didn't know about it until I knew about it. You know what I mean? Like my mom started getting us into training. So once my first day, I was like, man, I really, really like this. And I think I was kind of okay at it, like right out of the gate, maybe I just thought I was. So, but yeah, I just as soon as I started training, I was like, man, this is it. This is for me.
That's always like fighting is so interesting to me, because I feel like the world revolves around violence. As much as people don't want to like admit it. If you don't know violence, you're scared of it. If you know violence, you tend to like respect it.
Yeah.
Because like in sports, right? In football, I played football. When something didn't go your way, or a play or someone did something to you, you got angry, right?
Yeah.
And what does anger manifest into?
Nothing good usually.
Some sort of violence, right? Like I just want to hit them, or I want to shoulder them. So like I feel like that's usually like if you're highly competitive and you're pushing yourself, you tend to gravitate to like MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, like some sort of martial arts.
Yeah.
And you did that early on. Yeah, I was trying to suplex girls in the soccer field. How did those? You also did dance and gymnastics too, right?
So that was the first thing I did whenever, like the first sport I ever did when I was a kid. My mom, I think we were like 3 actually. Me and my sister, 3, 4, 5 years old. She just had us dance. She just wanted us to do something, because my mom is very like active woman. She done all kinds of stuff, like from hiking to kayaking to she's trained kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Just an active, hardworking woman. So she just wanted us to like, be like that from a young age. So she got us into dance because that was kind of like the only thing we could really do at like 3 years old. And then wasn't our thing, honestly. So we stopped dancing. My sister went and played soccer, and then I actually she put me in gymnastics just because I was kind of interested in it. And I actually am kind of sad I wasn't able to keep doing it because I liked that a lot better than dance for some reason. I think it was just I had a better body style for that maybe than dancing. I wasn't really like flowy. I was more like, I don't know how to explain it.
Very rigid.
Yeah. I could be better at gymnastics. So I'm kind of upset I wasn't able to do that longer, but it was just honestly too expensive for us to afford to keep doing.
Gymnastics is wild.
Yeah, it's insanely expensive. So we just really couldn't afford it. So when we started playing soccer, it was easier for my mom just because both me and my sister played, together basically. So she was able to practice wise, like could just take us there and not have to run 800 different places, you know what I mean?
Drop you off and
exactly.
watch.
It was cheaper. So, that's what got us into soccer from dance. So dance, I didn't dance or do gymnastics for like a really long time, but that was like my introduction into athletics.
So does being in dance and gymnastics, like is that something that kind of helps with what you do now, or you didn't do it long enough?
I don't think I did it long enough for it to really help me. But I definitely think it is an insanely like great base if you want to get into combat sports later on. Like I know just through coaching and stuff, just like knowing girls that were like cheerleaders or gymnastics or danced, like they're super good at wrestling.
Well, and they're mobile too.
Yeah, their hips are insanely strong. Like I think girls have strong hips and legs in general, but just adding that really is like awesome for.
I've talked about this before. When I first started jiu-jitsu, I got paired with a girl, a stout. And like I'll admit it, like that mindset. I came in typical male, right? I was 220 pounds and I'm like, what? Like I want to learn jiu-jitsu and I'm paired. Dude, she made me reevaluate a lot of things in my life. Like she was like a little spider monkey. Every time I pulled something off, she just attached somewhere else. And then next thing you know, I'm like exhausted. And I'm like, why is the room like turning black? Like, we just started to close in. And then finally the bell rang. And I'm like, wow.
Thank God.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed of her was she was super mobile. Like she could do things that I couldn't do. And like her turtle shell, it was impenenetrable. She just like locked up and there was nowhere I could pick her up and throw her if I wanted, but that doesn't do anything.
To anything. Yeah.
So I and that's one thing I struggle with, mobility. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu now, the whole joke is, oh, you're so strong, and it's seen as like a negative thing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you're extra mobile. So I could be saying the same thing about you. It's a strength you have. Yeah. Like my strength is strength. Your strength is being able to put yourself. I had him in North South, and he literally put his legs over me and climbed over me. Yeah,
and took your back probably.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never had that happen. He was in gymnastics.
Yeah.
So this last fight, we'll get into your last fight and then kind of work back from there. Okay. How did you get, like, how did that fight come about? Because I noticed you said something at the end. You're like, there's someone I've been following and respect, and I wanted to fight her. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little bit interesting. So the fight got matched, actually. Both me and her are managed by LCA management. So they were looking for a fight for me, and they were looking for a fight for her. And I think the management team reached out to Hunter, actually, for a fight for her at 115. And basically Hunter was like, we really don't have any choices except Karli. And they were like, well, they're managed by us. And long story short, basically ended up letting us fight, offered me the fight, offered her the fight. Both said yes. And that's kind of how that shook out. They definitely said, like, if you guys were pros, like, we wouldn't let this happen just because, like, it's gonna,
It's like same team kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. And I kind of felt like that way, honestly, going into the fight a little bit. And, but to talk about, like, how, the respect I have for her and, like, following her. So she's actually somebody that, like, I followed on, like, social media, like, for a handful of years. And just, there's not a lot of girls around. So, like, just Oh, sorry. I just
too strong.
I just moved your table.
Lay off the creatine.
But yeah, so I followed her on social media and then kind of just followed her career because like I just knew who she was just from like looking on Tapology and like seeing like what girls are like in my weight class. Like that would make sense for me to fight because like I would always try to kind of help find opponents because it's just really hard to find opponents. So she was always somebody that I would come across, but she fought at 115 and I never really considered 115 until more recently. And then once I was starting to consider that, we have already been managed by the same people at that point. And I'm like, so I don't know if that would ever shake out, but it did. So here we are.
Yeah, and not only that, she was undefeated. Not just undefeated, but seven fights. Like that's a lot of experience in the cage.
5 finishes, yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer, especially as an amateur, like you have to fight people that are like supposed to beat you or like could very well beat you, like that you don't have like the upper hand on because I don't know about everybody else, but I definitely don't want to get to the pro ranks in our pro level where like my record matters. You know, if I want to get to the UFC or Bellator or whatever that may be, like my record matters. If I have a losing record because I've never experienced adversity, like I just don't want that problem. I want to go through everything that I'm probably going to see as best I can as an amateur. So when I turn pro, like, you know, when something bad happens or like I hit that, like, you know, meet that person that could whoop my ass, like I'm ready for that. I've felt that before. I've been in that situation.
And that's a huge that's actually a huge like life lesson.
Yeah.
Too. Like oftentimes we try to avoid the hard things and put it off. And then when you have no choice but to deal with it, you're not ready for it.
Yep.
So you're approaching the amateurs as kind of like throw me everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
And when I was dabbling in MMA, that's when I realized, man, I love fighting, but I don't love this.
Yeah.
Like
it's not as simple as just fighting. Like it's a lot, like mentally even. Just like I think a lot of people can't handle the pressure of like signing a contract and having 8 weeks to get ready for that one fight. Like that is like that's a lot. Like you have a lot of time to prepare, but that's a lot of time to mentally be focused on one thing.
Yeah, like growing up fighting in the street.
You're like, oh, we're fighting now. Yeah. And then we're just fighting.
We're fighting now or we're fighting after school.
Yeah.
Or we're meeting at this lot. Yeah. Like you had a couple hours to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah, and you're hyped up, your adrenaline's going, so like you're ready for it. But when you have to think about it for that long, it's different.
Dude, it's draining. It is draining. I just remember my last one, you know, and that's the thing, people are like, wow, well, you won all 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, but my mental was lost. Like, like I was so drained. It wasn't even the fight. The actual fight was like, whatever. It was like you said, the leading up to it, the trying to listen to your corner while you're trying to like kind of sneak over to their corner, listen to what, but it's like mentally taxing. And I was like, you know what? This is better off for someone else. Like I'll stay in the background and train and do that stuff. But I think it speaks. Like I love interviewing fighters because like the mindset is just, if you can apply a fighter's mindset to life, to your career, like you're gonna succeed.
Yeah,
so long as you remain relentless.
Yeah.
What did this fight mean to you? You know, you get the fight, you end up winning the fight. You know, someone you looked up to, someone who was undefeated, someone who had a name to her.
Yeah.
Like what was the meaning of this fight once you left that cage?
Really, like, even though, like, I won, obviously, like, that's the icing on the cake, but just, like, my performance in general and seeing the things that I saw things that I wanted to see myself, like, do and implement or, like, get through, before I turned pro. So, like, even, like, as simple as getting taken down in the first round and not freaking out and exposing, like, giving a positioning and exposing my back and things like that, like just remaining calm in like those like challenging situations where, you know, maybe 5 fights ago I might have freaked out a little bit and rushed to get to my feet or something like that, because that's how it's happened to me. So just like my overall like composure the entire fight, and just control and like how well I was able to listen to my coaches, like that was like the best part of it. I mean, like I said, winning was great, but like just seeing what I saw from myself was like what I really am taking away from that fight, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And Justin says it best. It's like win, lose or draw. Like I'm going in here,
Yeah.
I'm going to work. And like that mentality is the scary one.
Yeah.
Like when you fight someone who just wants to win,
Yeah.
there's so many things exposed in just that mindset.
Oh, yeah.
When you fight someone who just wants to fight,
Yeah.
you're going into their world.
Yeah.
Like, because you're like, damn, they thoroughly enjoy this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary thing to face for sure.
Like my little brother was, he was in town and we were interviewing Justin and he's like, can we do a face off? And Justin's like laughing. He's like, oh, dude, absolutely. He's like, yeah. He's like, you want me to do it like how I normally do it? And like my little brother doesn't know, Justin doesn't know.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like the fight world and nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah. Dude, Justin walks up on him.
Dude, I know.
Takes all the real estate from him. My little brother's like,
his shit in his pants. He's like, I ain't even gonna fight this guy, and I'm scared. Yeah.
But dude, you see that little switch that comes on, the switch that all of you have to do almost, like it's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I even think like from like the walkout even to like entering the cage, just like there's like a shift, like, walking out, like I do feel like I'm still like in that zone, but like I can sometimes like see certain people like walking out, like I seen Britt and Emily like up in the stands, and then some other people just like dabbing you up and stuff like that. Like, you see all that stuff and I like that. But then when once I get the Vaseline on, it's like, all right, it's like game time. Like I'm kind of like let's
Clock
go.
in.
Yeah. Hit the bow on the kit way in, and then it's like that we're ready to go. Like nothing else matters.
How important is that mindset shift for fighters, and how can someone apply that like in their, and it's like someone who's listening who's like, I'm not a fighter.
Yeah.
But how can someone apply that like shift? It's almost like a momentum change, right? And I talk about when I do the post fights, I'm like, what was a momentum change that did you experience? Like I think I asked you that question too. And the reason for that is because you have to experience a momentum change. If you don't, you're not really there.
Yeah.
We ask hard questions.
Yeah, like, cause really, like, I feel like I'm just to the point where I'm just like, it's so natural. It just like happens, but like, it's just a focus, like understanding like what's about to go down, and like, I've been there, so like, I'm really getting good at like locking in. So just recognizing like that something serious is about to happen, and I have to perform at my absolute best for the next 9 minutes. Going now it's gonna be 15 minutes or 25 if it's a 5-round fight. But yeah, just like understanding like task at hand, and like we have a job to do. Like I have to be perfect for X amount of time. I think just in general, like you're gonna build a house, like you can't have your mind in 8 different places. We need to be focused on building this house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, going all in that do or die mentality with everything you do.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say if you can apply that mindset, because let's say you're clocking into work, building a house.
Yep.
You have foundation, concrete, roofing, electric, plumbing. Like if you're thinking about all this stuff, it's easy to get lost in the weeds.
Yep.
But if you're like, hey, today's foundation, boom, like you're locked in on building the foundation.
Exactly.
We have to build the board by board, nail by nail. It's almost like, I'm not saying that if you work construction, you're a fighter, but like it's that same mindset of this is the task at hand.
Yeah.
This is what
just
needs
with
to be
anything.
done.
Like if I'm going into, I coach women's wrestling. So if I'm going to a wrestling meet, like we're not worrying about what's going on at home or whatever. It's like we're focused on these matches, like making sure the girls are ready, mentally locked in, like, getting them into that mindset. Too, just like task at hand. Like we're doing task at hand right now, nothing else.
So to kind of backtrack from task at hand, you have X amount of weeks to prepare for this fight. How do you prepare? Once you sign that contract, it's going down. What are some steps you start taking that lead up to that moment?
Yeah, it's mostly like for me, it becomes more of just like knowing like, okay, I have a fight coming up, so like, I have to give 100% at practice every single day. Do those little extra, like, we'll hit verses after practice, couple verses here and there, hit push-ups, pull-ups, like just making sure like all those extra things I'm doing, because like, I'll be honest, when I'm not in fight camp, like obviously like I'm training all the time, but I like to like relax a little bit, because like when we're in fight camp, it is so like nose to the grindstone. So like when I'm not that I don't train hard, because that's one of my favorite things in the world is to train hard. But just like being on all the time. Like it doesn't matter if I'm tired, if I'm sore, if I'm hurting, if I have sniffles. Like we gotta go, we gotta train, gotta give it everything we got all the time. It's mostly that, and just like really just like my diet and stuff like that, just cleaning all that stuff up, making sure I'm eating good food, feeling good. You know, obviously I'm like cutting weight and stuff like that. So just being on point with everything. Like it's just there's no stones unturned, you know. That's the difference between fight camp versus not fight camp, like, you know.
And it's the little things that turn into big things.
Yeah.
You know, they say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you take a step and then an inch, and that person just takes a step, you do that 1,000 times.
Yep.
You're a lot further along. Like, it's an inch at a time.
Yep.
But by the end, you're so far ahead of everyone just taking a step.
Yep.
And that's something like I try to do at the gym, right? Like, I have a goal, like increase my bench press. You know,
Yeah.
people are like, how do you get to this weight?
2.5 pounds.
2.5. And that's literally what I tell them. I'm like, I add 2.5 pounds at a time. And they're like, no.
Yep.
And you see, what happens is when you take too big of a step, you tend to stumble, right? You're off balance or whatever. Well, with something like benching, you go from 225. Now you're like, oh man, I felt good. Let me do 315. You fail at 315, and then what do?
Go back to 2.
You go back.
Yeah. To 225.
To 225. You know, and it's like, oh, I can't go up.
Yeah.
I'm tired, or I'm hurt now, or I pulled something.
Yeah.
Where if you went 225, then
230.
Maybe 230, then you start building up. In 2 weeks, you're gonna be 3 weeks, 4 months, whatever. You're at that weight.
Yep.
So it's I talk a metaphor. So
yeah.
How is being with someone in the same line of work that you do, like Justin Patton?
Yeah.
He's as real as it gets when it comes to MMA. Like how does that help your journey in MMA? Having someone who kind of understands the game, what you're doing, what it entails, and then how does that support kind of propel you forward?
I really think it changes everything, honestly, because like I've been in relationships with people that like did not support it, were not training, and it's hard. It's really hard just to like even like to want to go train on a Friday night was a fight every time, and it's like, so being with somebody like Justin who's all in as much as I am, like we're gonna be unstoppable, I'm telling you. I just feel like it's so powerful to just have like that kind of support system. Like we train together, we diet together, cut weight together, like do it all together. And I think just it's a really special thing, and I wish everybody could experience that. But you know, he really helps me a lot with just like mentally, and like he's actually somebody who's really helped me with like I was talking about like my last fight, just seeing like the control, like composure. Like he's somebody who's helped me a ton with that, because I used to be, and I'm still working on it, but I used to be kind of like reckless. Like I just wanted to fight. Like it didn't, like I'd give up something or put myself in a bad spot just to get a punch off or whatever. So he's somebody who's really like helped me just control my emotions and everything like that. So I give him a ton of credit for just helping me become, I guess, a professional.
Yeah, it helps you dial in.
Yeah.
It's like very important to have, you know, people talk about having a good circle, a good support system. But that's almost like a kind of unique dynamic that you have, because it's not only like, he's not only supportive, but he's like in it with you. Yeah. And that's like the next level.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he even like whenever he's not fighting, like he's in my corner, like he's, you know, he's super, super involved like with my career and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's awesome. And you know, we were kind of talking before this and things you've kind of gone through. And I mean, if that's something you're comfortable with talking about, I'd like to get into it, because oftentimes, you know, we see you in the cage, we see you on social media. You have it together, right?
Yeah.
Like you're an awesome fighter, awesome person. You surround yourself by great people, but everyone has a story, right? That kind of gets them there. And you had to go through some adversity to kind of write your story. Not saying you had to, but that's something that was thrown onto you, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I think it was one of your first gyms.
Yeah, the first gym I trained at down in Uniontown. It used to be called Uniontown Fight Club. It doesn't exist anymore, basically. The owner, his name was William Bosley. He molested me from 12 to about 17 years old. And you know, it was really like, it was just a really, really hard time. I was very like a lost person. Like I just didn't, you know, like I felt like I was living like two different lives almost.
and I don't even know how to navigate this.
Yeah.
So
No, you're good.
if I'm ever out of line or
Nah,
something, but like
that's also just before we like talk about it. Like I'm very like comfortable talking about it. I think I've come a long way like mentally to speak on it and really in any regard. So I'm an open book when it comes to this.
okay, yeah, because when we were talking about this, it's something that hits home with me because I have a young daughter, you know, and I have a special place for kids, you know,
Yeah.
because I went through my stuff as a kid, and
Of course.
if I could sacrifice myself so no kid ever has to go through something like that, I wouldn't hesitate. We don't have that luxury, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, like, how did that end up like coming out? Like, was it something that, like, how did that come to light?
Yeah. So I actually ended up telling my mom one day, like eventually, it was just after so many years like of just dealing with it. Like I was just to the point where I just want this to stop. Like, you know, and I just remember we were at the gym one day, me and my that old coach, Bill, and another one of my teammates. And, you know, there was, I was like I said, I was to the point where I didn't want to go through that anymore. And I was like telling him, like, I really want this to stop. Like I was giving him a lot of like pushback, on just like whatever he would try to, make happen. But, so we were in the cage and we were all talking one day, and he was just talking about another girl that we trained with. And he was like, and I guess supposedly she must have told somebody that he did something to her. And he was like, you know, if she ever tells somebody that and tries to get me in trouble, like I'll put a bullet between her eyes. And that was like just a moment of like realization that like a couple things, like one, like this isn't just happening to me. Like I've had speculation that there was things with other girls going on, but like nothing was ever like certain, you know, like I wasn't positive about that. So that statement kind of like was like it like clicked. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. This probably is happening to other girls. And it kind of scared me because like I was at that point, like I said, where I was like, I don't want this to happen anymore. And I was telling him, I was voicing this to him. So it kind of scared me. I'm like, is this like a low-key threat? Probably was. Maybe it wasn't, but I'm sure it was.
Like an indirect, like
an indirect,
yeah.
like if you know, like you don't want this to happen, but if you ever tell anybody, like that's what's gonna happen to you. So, you know, me being the person I am, like tell my mom everything. So go home, everything except I guess probably the thing I should have told her a long ass time ago.
Yeah, but that's a very that's. I mean, you entrust someone, especially as a kid, like,
right.
This is your coach. This is someone you trust. Like,
yeah. And like, you know, just to kind of touch on some of that, like there was like obviously like a whole grooming period before anything actually happened. So like there was a super like big trust built there. He and my parents trusted him and things like that. So like there was like, you know, there wasn't really a way out in my head at that time, you know, which I'm sure you get that, you know, to just being involved. Like I know you're a cop and stuff, so like I'm, you know.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when I'm put in those situations. Like, I can't just crash out on this person,
right?
As much as times were different, man. Yeah,
but so went home and I was just talking to my mom and I just told her about this conversation. Like at this time, she didn't know anything that's happened between me and him. She didn't really like even think that he would even do something like that. And she's like, do you really think he would do something like that? Like, you know, like mess with kids? I'm like, kind of just like, you know, like, and then she kind of just like gave me like a look and then asked me actually, she's like, did he ever do anything to you? And I just told her yes. And then like everything kind of just hit the fan after that. Like I broke down, you know, kind of told them like what was going on for, you know, how many years. She ended up telling, my sister was there with us too. And my dad was taking a shower, so he comes downstairs and then she tells my dad. And then obviously, like, we went to the police after. Not directly after. Like, I didn't want to even go to the police at first because, like, I never even told anybody, you know? So, and
now
I thought,
we're telling everybody.
Literally everybody. And I'm like, now I thought I was going to be in trouble, you know, because, like, I don't know why, but I did. I'm like, am I going to get in trouble? Like, I don't know. So it wasn't the next day, but it was like the day after. It was like 2 days later. Like I we waited a day, and then the day after, like my dad's like, we have to go. Like you can't, like we have to tell, like, you know, like this needs to be taken care of because it's not going to stop. Like it might stop with you, but it's not going to stop. So, you know, my dad took me to the police barracks in Uniontown, and then we told them everything. And yeah, they arrested him. Not that day, but like 1 or 2 days later. And then he actually got bailed out and rearrested because more girls, like another girl came forward and told they rearrested him. Then he got let up back out again. Somebody bailed him out. And then a third girl came forward, and then they pretty much revoked his bail, so he couldn't get back out again. So, yeah.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
How, and I mean, that speaks to the strength that you show every day. How would you say, I don't even know how to ask this question. How should a parent handle that? Like when their child comes to them, because that's something that like, I pray to God.
Yeah.
Never happens. But it's something I want to happen. If it's going on, I want my daughter to be able to tell me.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of like I hope I never
Yeah.
have to deal with this,
Yeah,
because
of
obviously
course.
I never want her to go through that.
Yeah, of course.
But if she ever goes through that, I hope she can tell me.
Yeah.
Like, how as a parent can we navigate that situation, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard. Just in general, like, you know, I couldn't imagine having a child, and I mean, like, I could, I guess, kind of, but like, I couldn't. Like, what is that like? Like, I know my parents felt all sorts of different emotions, but I think they did handle it in a really, you know, one of the probably best ways that they could have. And I think it's really a circumstance-based kind of thing. Like, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Like, I think what my parents, like, just telling the police was like the best thing to do, because like you doing anything is probably not going to help the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of gives them an escape.
Yeah,
almost.
For sure. Because like my dad, like his first, like, he wanted to kill him, like literally,
justifiably
like
so.
kill him, and he's like, I could do that and get away with it if I really wanted to. I'm like, you probably couldn't.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Just don't.
Let's just
don't.
not. But my mom thankfully was very level headed in the situation and was able to, like, you know, talk him out of like thinking that way. And just, yeah, going to the cops and just like letting like your kids know that you're there for them, you know, like just support them and be there for them and don't judge them. I think that's a really big thing. Like, I didn't feel any judgment from my parents, because that's what was a really big worry for me, is feeling judged, being like, you know, like growing up, like my mom's like, you don't have sex before you're married and this and that and like that kind of stuff. And like, you know, like I broke so many of those rules. Like in my head, I'm like, and I broke all these rules that like they said not to do, and I did it. So yeah, just like don't judge them, be there for them. If it makes sense, like if you're confident that the police can handle it, I think that's a really good avenue to go.
And that's a tough situation too. You know, telling your parents is one thing, but now telling the police, it's like next level. Like there's consequences. You're going to be asked questions. And one thing we have to go through now, especially like since unfortunately this is becoming a normal thing, or not normal because it'll never be a commonly occurring thing. We have to go through special training on how to speak with people, because, you know, as soon as a cop walks in a room, it's authoritative, right? It's scary. Shit, I'm a cop. Yeah. And when I'm being talked to by a cop, I'm like, oh, fuck, this dude's a cop. Like when a cop gets behind me, I'm like, oh, I'm in a cop car.
Yeah.
A cop gets behind me, I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing? Like, you know, but
right.
it's inherent,
yeah,
right? Like
for sure.
You have the shiny badge, a gun, the ability to take someone's right. Like it's scary.
Yeah.
And then you're in this quote unquote hot seat being asked all these questions, and it can almost seem like, man, am I in trouble? Like what? Like what I did was wrong.
Yeah.
When it's not, right? Because like you're a child and you trusted someone who took advantage of that.
Yeah.
So like I always try to like, I don't trust anyone. So like I try to talk to my daughter like, hey, look, I know these are your friends, these are your parents. Just like talk to me if you ever feel uncomfortable, if you ever feel, and you know I go on calls all the time with stuff like this, and it's tough when you're trying to talk to a kid and like you're trying to get information so you can help them, but you're also opening up wounds that are still open. Yeah. Right? Like they're trying to heal by telling you. Yeah. And we're essentially keeping these wounds open for the greater good. So it's very hard to go around. I've been watching you ever heard of Chris Hansen? Mm-mm. He's like, I believe that's his name. He does like child predator stings. Okay. And like he started with To Catch a Predator back in the day. Okay. And then now he has his own show on YouTube, and it's like he gets together with local sheriffs or local police departments. There's this team called the Watchdog Group or something like that. And it's professionals who go on and they present themselves as kids.
Yeah.
And they lure these people in, and it blows my mind the type of people. Like you think you see someone, right, and you're like, oh, he definitely would do something like that.
Yeah.
The people that come on this show, you'd be like, what?
No way. Yeah.
There was a CO.
Yeah.
There was a fireman. There was a cop who was fired. Or like, you're like, these are people we're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we navigate that situation, like for our kids and for, not even our kids, other kids, like. You know, one thing I'm always, when I'm in the gym, I'm always like looking at the kids, seeing how they're interacting with other people. Cause like, it's a fear of mine. It's a real fear of mine to like be around a kid and you have no idea what they're going through. Yeah. Right. Cause today they're having a good day. But in the back of their mind, they may be going through something. And it's always like, how do we navigate that as adults? Like, how can we be there for our future, for the future generations? Yeah. How did going through that, like, how does going through that shape kind of like how you moved forward? So that started, that like you told the cops, he gets arrested, all this comes to light. How did you start managing that? Because that's obviously a difficult, probably one of the hardest things to go through.
Yeah, like it definitely felt like it got worse before it got better. You know, like once I told, like it was really, really hard for, especially like the first 2 years. Cause like you're still like I don't remember all the dates to a T, but like, you know, you had the preliminary hearing, had to testify. And you know, with that, like you can't just be vague and be like, you know, you have to tell them everything, like literally everything. Like when I was, you know, when they, what's the word?
Interviewed?
Yeah, when they, basically when they interviewed me, like when I first went to the police station, like I was there for like 3 hours, like just telling them like everything. And then, you know, and they'll be like, you have to be more like specific and said that. So like just going through all of that and like, then, you know, there's the preliminary and then you have to wait. Basically it was like a year, I think, before the trial or whatever. And then something got continued at some point. So like just like waiting all that time and like nothing's really happening, but, and then going through the trial, the sentencing and just, it was just very like kind of like reopening these wounds like every single time. And then always just thinking about it and everything. But to like kind of just get through it, it sounds so stupid, just like going through it, like I just had to do it. Like, and like, this is what I have to do this right now. I have to deal with this. Something that helped me get through it would be definitely like the support system from my family. Like my mom and my dad were really awesome through everything. And I went to counseling and stuff like that. You know, I talked to a counselor. And, you know, I guess I feel like I was lucky just having good people around me to like remind you that like, this isn't your fault. And everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it was really hard for a really long time. And eventually I was just like to a point where I wasn't like, not that I made terrible choices, but like I was making choices that weren't that great and they or could have been better. And eventually I was like, you need to stop feeling sorry for yourself. Like, yeah, this happened. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it was hard, but you can't use these things that, you know, I guess traumatized you for an excuse to screw up the rest of your life. Like, you need to make good choices still. Like,
but that's understandable. Yeah. Right. So like it's hard when you, because I've gone through stuff, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like my mindset now, and you know, I read the Bible now and try to listen to a lot of speakers, and there's this concept of through the fire that we hear in the Bible. Through the fire, right? Like you have to go through the fire. Yeah. So it's like, how do we go through the fire without getting burned?
You don't,
right?
You don't.
Like, but that's part of that process of getting to the other side. And there's a metaphor that they've used for, I believe it's bills or buffalo or bison or one of the big cow-looking animals that when there's a storm coming,
the buffalo through it.
They run through it because they know that the fastest way to get through this storm, to get over the storm to the storm, is actually through the storm. Yep. If you run away from the storm is going to always linger. Yep. Because it's following you. Yep. But if you go through it, you're on the other side a lot sooner. But you're going through that process. Yep. And I think like a lot of people who experience like trauma and things like that, like that's something to think about. And, you know, having gone through a lot of that stuff, a lot of trauma and stuff, I try to like tell people like, it sounds corny, it sounds cheesy, but to get through it, you have to go through it.
Yep. It's literally that simple. Like there's not really any like big speech about it. It's that simple. You just got to go through it. Like it literally can't rain forever. I mean, at some point there's going to be some light, and then eventually there's going to be some darkness again. And then we're going to get through that, and then it's going to be all right, and then it's going to be dark again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's never like not trauma, just in life. Like things are going to be good and bad. Like it's just that's life, you know? That's just got to keep on trucking, man.
Life is hard. Man. Keep on trucking. Just keep on swimming. Well, that's the quote of the day. Keep on swimming.
Yeah.
No, but it's so true. And like I've talked about this a lot of times. Like we see motivational speeches online, and like a lot of people are like, "Oh man, that's corny," or you write it off. You're like, "Oh no, duh." But like we don't apply it. Mm-hmm. Like it's so corny, we don't apply it.
Yeah.
But if you applied it, you would see how your life changes.
Yeah.
You know, because I was one of those guys who were like, oh, wake up early, make your bed. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And it's easy to just wake up and not make your bed and have a good day. Right? Yeah. You're like, I don't need to make my bed.
Yeah.
But if you do that little thing, then you do the next thing, and the next thing, you start applying these little things. Make sure you're drinking water, which, look at you.
First thing I do when I get up.
Like, oh, make sure you're drinking water, especially if you're into fitness or you're an athlete. Like, hey, make sure you're hydrating. When you're training, hey, they give you water. Hey, hydrate.
Yep.
It's easy to be like, no, I feel good. I'm not going to hydrate, and just go into the next round.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're
You're
dehydrated.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like we like to overlook the little things because we're looking at the big things, right? Training is, or whatever we're going, this is what I need to focus on.
Yep.
When if you just apply the little things, you go through it.
Yep.
So I guess, unfortunately, I've been notified by my daughter that a lot of her friends listen to this podcast. Okay. So like, what would you tell someone who might be going through this, who they're scared to speak up, or not even a kid, an adult, right? Because it happens to adults. It happens to all walks of life. Like, what advice would you give someone having gone through it, being on the other side, who they're like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, wow, she went through it. I've been following her, and she looks like she's all put together. Like, how did she do it?
Yeah. You know, I think everybody's situation is really different, and like, I think it's a little too simple just to say, just tell somebody, because not everybody can just do that. Not everybody has a support system to do that. Not everybody's, you know, what happened to them is, you know, able to be proved, maybe even. Like, maybe nobody's going to believe them. I think, you know, it's really important to, you know, remember that we can take control and not be the victim forever. I think the way to do that is a mindset kind of thing sometimes. And like I said, like, it's so hard to answer questions like this because like somebody's not, you know, it's not as simple as like, maybe they're physical, maybe they force, maybe there's no way out. And I never know how to answer it, 'cause it's like, maybe like you should just try to tell somebody if you can, if you feel like that's going to be the answer. Like if you're like, man, I wish I could just tell somebody, you know. If you don't feel that way, I think you have to stand up to the situation. I think it's either, you know, that I don't really know any other way to really to make things like that to stop, right? We have to either face it some way, whether that's telling, whether that's standing up to the person, whether it's, you know, cutting all contact and association. You know, it's definitely a very, very challenging thing to face, but I think it's, you know, we have to fight it. We have to fight through it. And just know you're not alone. Like, at the end of the day, like, there is people who have went through something similar that you've went through. And, you know, this sounds cliche, but like, if somebody needs somebody, like, I'm not saying I can fix everything, but like, I at least talk to you. And like, if you want to go tell the police and you don't feel like you have family that will, like, we can go and do that together. Like, I've been there. Yeah. So just, you know, don't be afraid to tell somebody. And if not, we got to stand up and fight.
I just want to take a second to shout out a few companies who've believed in me. You know, these were one of our first official sponsors, so huge shout out. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Karli Jewelers, established in 1997 on the values of honesty and integrity. Whether you're searching for the perfect piece, need expert repair services, visit Karli Jewelers in Newark's Ironbound District, where your jewelry is always in safe hands. This episode is also brought to you by Continental Jewelers, proudly serving Hudson County, New Jersey since 1964. Whether you're seeking a timeless piece or need expert repairs, they've got you covered. Visit Continental Jewelers, your trusted source for all things jewelry. You can find them on Instagram at Karli Jewelers or online at karlijewelers.com. Lastly, big shout out to Karli Trading. Besides coins, precious metals, and jewelry, if it could be traded and collected, he's probably got it. They can be found on Instagram at karbo.trading. You can find all of our sponsors out online on our sponsor page at therelentlessproject.com.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources out there now. There's a lot of people who take this very serious.
Yeah.
So, and I'll actually link that stuff at the end too, because that's very important. Like with feeling alone is one of the worst. You can be in a room full of people who love you and feel alone.
Yeah.
It's been the majority of my adult life.
Yeah.
And it's being able to trust people. Like, oh man, maybe I'm not alone. Maybe this is someone I can lean on. Like, starting to develop those relationships, intentional relationships is very important in getting through whatever you're going through. Right.
Yeah.
Something that's worse than this, not worse than that. Like, that's the thing. Like, when we get into these situations, people can go, oh, well, I didn't have it. Like, she had it, so I shouldn't say something. Like, but at
any level of anything, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, at least with like sexual abuse or assault, or if it's just a little bit with you, it's probably a lot more with somebody else, or it's going to be a lot more with somebody else. Like, those kind of people, I don't feel like they just stop it.
No,
like they're always gonna be searching for more in some way, shape, or form. So
I've been watching these shows, and like he interviews them to kind of get their oh, what are you doing here? And it's crazy how they all have the same excuses, they all have the same way they got there, and it's all different kind of walks of life. It's patterned behavior. Yeah, whether it's your first time or the 15th time you're doing this to someone, like it's a pattern behavior. Yeah, and I watch it as much as it bothers me to watch. But it's like I want to learn all about it. Yeah, I think it's actually awesome that you want to learn more about it, because I think people shy away from these kind of conversations because they're uncomfortable. Like, it makes, I think, people in general uncomfortable. I'm super uncomfortable right now. Yeah, I'm sweating, my hands are shaking, my foot is going. But I think it needs to be talked about, because if we can start talking about it, I think it's gonna even scare people a little bit, maybe away from doing things. I don't know, but I think speaking on it is powerful. A lot of things happen in the dark, right? If there's no light on it, it's easy to get away with it, right? Like, again, speaking of metaphor, when do most burglaries take place? At night, right? Like, it's dark, you can hide, people are usually asleep, there's no one around to see. That's why a lot of things happen in the dark at night where there's no one. Alleyway, and I'm talking general stuff, but metaphorically speaking, if we don't shine light on this situation, it kind of empowers people to continue doing this. You ever notice, you ever talk to a kid who took an extra candy they weren't supposed to or something? When you're like, hey, did you take this? And they're like, no. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, and you walk away, it's fine. Yeah. But when you're like, well, it's missing. Yeah. And it's just, I do this with my daughter all the time. There'll be a cup in the living room. It's just me and her. Yeah. I'm like, oh, whose cup is this? Rhetorical question. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. You about to play me? Yeah. So I'll entertain it. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. It's just you and me, and I know it's not my cup. She's like, well, maybe it's mine. No, yeah, I think it's yours. Why don't we put that away? And then you can see her start feeling uncomfortable. But it's a similar situation. You're talking about this very uncomfortable situation. You dive in it. You shine light in it, and it kind of hopefully makes people go, oh shit, I got. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't be doing this. More and more people are becoming aware of this, and that's why I watch these shows. I tell people, hey, you got to watch, because it's it's not like a. I'm not gonna lie, I want to watch them. I'm telling you, he's very punny too. Yeah. And his one of his lines is, hey, take a seat. Yeah. So this this child actor who's actually an adult who looks young, they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, take a seat. I'm gonna go charge my phone. And you see these dudes just get so comfortable, and they take a seat in the stranger's house, ready to do some of the most evil shit. Yeah. And then here comes Chris Hansen. Mm-hmm. and you can just see an immediate body shift.
Like,
and I love that. I'm like, oh, now you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now you're scared.
Now you know how that little fucking kid feels.
Now you know. Yeah. Now you know. Dude, I be saying this stuff. That's how I talk on the TV. I'm like, yeah, you little fuck. Oh, dude. Like if I was the fucking cop, like these, I'm not the best person.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm in those situations, I just want to rip throats out. I go to jail if I do that. Make that make sense. Whatever. Yeah. I get it. You know, we should be above. Yeah. But I just want to rip throats out. Like, oh, you treat me like that. Yeah. Like treat someone who now can stand up for themselves because you've stripped this person of everything they have to put them in this situation. Do me like that.
Yeah. I know.
Like
I know. Like I dare motherfucker now.
Yeah. Like, it's like do it now.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. Yeah, right, I'm getting off talk. Sorry.
No, that's.
But watch this shit. It's on YouTube. It's called. I don't know what it's called, but it's True Blue. It's his own thing, and he offers like free episodes on YouTube. And like you can, I like it because he's a journalist. He started as a journalist, and he interviews these dudes. In this situation, like as they were gonna do it. Yeah. Then they get the child actor out. He comes in and he's like, oh well, and then he reads. He has all the text messages, the pictures they've sent. And most of the time, I was just coming to see, just to hang out. Oh, well, you said you wanted to bleep, bleep, bleep. Yeah. Boom. And they're just like,
can't believe you know I said that. Mm-hmm.
And I just love when they're in that situation. I was like, no, stand on business. You were so confident through those texts. Yeah. Stand on business. Oh, you can't because now it's in light. Yeah. And then you see them backtrack and try to weasel their way out. Yep. I love it when they're like, well, like, are you going to arrest me? He goes, I can't arrest you. I'm just talking to you. And then he walks out and then the cops come in and then they arrest him. Oh,
that's beautiful. Awesome. I was going to say something. I lost it.
It happens all the time with me too. I'll be like, I'm going to talk about this next. Then boom. Yeah. But long story short, I think I appreciate you for like sharing a lot because I feel people have gone through stuff or are going through stuff or maybe they find themselves going through something and oh man, I heard that episode with Karli and wow, like, you know, so I think it's important. That's why I like having these conversations. And usually it's about people and how they push forward and stuff like. But like pushing forward through something like this is huge, right? Because not a lot of people make it to the other side of that situation.
Yeah, no, you know, for sure. I mean, I know people even that were like close to me that's been through some stuff like that, similar, and it messed them up like for a long time. You know, some of them are still messed up from it on drugs. You know, not making good choices and like. It's really something that can either make or break you. And I'm really thankful that like I was able to have, I think, the right people around me. And I think really a good mindset through it all to like, you know, do good with it. So.
Well, now we're shining light and pushing it forward. Yeah. How, cause this is something that never leaves you. I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, not that I think about it every single day, but like, definitely something that is always going to be in the back of my head. Like I feel super strong and independent and, you know, all those kind of emotions now because of it. But definitely like I remember how I felt in the moment still, you know what I mean? So
how do you use that to kind of push through other things you face, like other adversity?
Yeah. I mean, really, like I don't think anything will be harder than that in life. I mean, I'm sure maybe something, but that was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever went through. Even like, obviously, like the entire experience was very difficult, but like getting through like testifying and all of that stuff was, I'm telling you, like I wanted to not do it. I
can't even imagine.
Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but like. I've never felt that way in my life before, you know, like walking it, because they like hold you in this room in the back. And then like, cause I was like, they don't put you like, when we did the testifying, like I wasn't in there the entire time. They like had us in a room and they bring you in like, it's your turn now. So they brought us in and like going in through that door was like, you know, people talk about walking in the cage and like they want to run away. But like, I swear to God, I'll never ever feel that way because like doing that was way, way harder than anything, I feel like. So I just remind myself of what I've been through, you know, like I'm gonna be able to push through anything.
You essentially stepped into a cage there. Yeah. Because you're there, right? Yeah. To tell your story. Yeah. But there's a person in that room who's gonna try to discredit your story. Yeah. That's their job. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's almost crazy how the court system works. And I get like I understand some of the process.
Yeah.
Like me as a cop, when I'm testifying,
Yeah.
like I'm nervous, I'm jittery, right? But and I did all the right things.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine like being when you're on that seat and you have no control. Like I have control of the situation because I was the arresting officer.
Yeah.
I did the charges. Like I was there. Like you're in here being questioned by two people who were not there.
Yeah.
They have no idea of the situation. Only things they've been told.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine the stuff that those people go through. Like you're in there, you're telling your story, and someone's trying to like.
Yep. And you like don't know what they're gonna like. You have an idea, but like you don't really know like everything they're gonna ask you. Like they're gonna try to throw you curveballs and like make you slip up and stuff like that. So like, just that it was extremely stressful. Like I was like worried about like am I gonna say the wrong date or the wrong year? Because like how am I supposed to keep track of everything for over the course of 12 to 17? That's a lot of years and a lot of shit happened. Like,
and you're young. I mean, like.
And I don't want to remember this stuff. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, I was never trying to, like, keep track of anything. So, like, yeah, just, that was so.
That's a good point. Yeah. You're not sitting there taking notes. Like,
hell no, yeah.
You're trying to bury it and throw it away.
Exactly.
And now they're like, hey, all that stuff you've been hiding.
Yeah.
Let's tell us all about it.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, damn.
Yeah.
And it goes, like, even cops listening to us, like, deal with that appropriately. Like I understand there's oftentimes, we're doing 3 or 4 of these interviews and they sound quote unquote repetitive.
Yeah.
But like you have to take each one for what it is and go through and that's one thing I pride myself. I do pride myself in knowing with anything, like it could be small, big, or in between. Like you have my time right now.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
You're focused on it.
And you have to be. You have to be like, cause you owe it to the person you're talking to. You owe it to your entire industry. You owe it to the next person that may be a victim of fraud or like we'll use something like fraud, right?
Yeah.
I promise you, it happens every day. Yeah. We get someone, someone said this to me and then they told me to click this and I sent them $5,000. You know how easy it is for me to go, why?
Yeah.
And I know some cops do it.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, well, you're SOL. You sent the money. Like, I get it. You sent the money.
Yeah.
But like, they're victims.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't know better. Right? Just because you do, don't mean they do.
Exactly.
So you have to approach it where they're at. Right? Like this $5,000 for some people, they can be like, I'm not even gonna call the police. Like, for other people, that's everything they have.
Yeah.
And they sent it. Mm-hmm. So you have to go in there with like, all right. Yeah. Like, let's go through this.
Like,
let's see.
Kind of put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. I've never been. You can't fraud me. But no, I'm kidding. But like that's the mentality of people going like, you do this enough times, you're like, okay, and you kind of get mundane. You can't do that. Yeah. Not as a cop, not as anyone, right? Like you get someone's story, take their story for what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Until it's not.
It means something to them.
Yeah, it means everything to them. Yeah. On to brighter things. Talking about light. How did you get into coaching, right? You started, was that something like you coach women's wrestling, which I think is awesome. Like a couple of my daughter's friends have gotten into wrestling. Oh, sick. And I'm like, hey, you want to segue into that? Yeah. No. I'm like, well, it's close. Maybe if enough of them do it, she'll do it. But how do you navigate into that, right? Because you could be a fighter, you could be into this. You're worried about your own career, but now you're worrying about the career of other women.
So really, whenever even when I was younger, like I always wanted to coach. Like I wanted to. This is like my plan. So I was like, I'm gonna train when I'm 18. I'm gonna fight till however long. Make it in UFC. I'm gonna get rich, and then I'm gonna open my own gym one day, and I'm gonna coach, and like that's gonna be the thing. And I always thought it would be like badass to like have like a female like fight team. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, that'd be sick.
Right. So like that was like my like dream as like a kid. You know what I mean? But once I got older, like I ended up not debuting when I was 18. I didn't debut till I was 21. So like that was like already like, man, dreams like shit the bed already. So they don't work out.
Why do we do that to ourselves? Right. Oh, dream's over.
And so like I said, made a debut when I was 21, but I was still like always like I would do like private lessons and like and stuff like that, like with just like usually like young like kids usually like it's actually kind of funny whenever after I told and like that all was kind of like happening, like I kind of quit training for like 3 years maybe. I would like be very fickle. Like I trained for a couple weeks and I wouldn't. And what kind of really got me back into training and like competing was a really good friend of mine. His name's Trevor Banco. He was actually my like I did some bodybuilding shows like back in.
You also did bodybuilding?
Yeah, when I was like 17 to like
Leave
19.
no stone unturned.
Yeah,
for real.
I did 3 of them, but he was like my nutritionist. Would help me like with lifts and stuff like that. But obviously he knew I trained MMA, so he asked if I could do privates with his daughter because she just he wanted her to kind of like learn some stuff. I'm like, yeah, of course, but I wasn't training at the time. And once I started working with her, like I remembered stuff obviously, but like I'm like I'm a hypocrite if I'm training her and like not training. So I got really back into training, and that was kind of like what really got me back into MMA just in general. Like that was like the big thing there. And then ever since I was working with her, like I would just do I started doing little classes. I would have like seminars and stuff like that. Like nothing crazy big or special or anything, just because like I wasn't nobody at the time. I'm really still a nobody in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, so I just like always loved coaching, loved helping, especially with the kids, especially with the girls, of course. Like I think I think everybody should train, but I think especially girls should have some sort of like martial art background for sure. So yeah, just, was doing the private lessons and stuff. And what got me the job at Waynesburg was kind of actually like funny. A guy that I used to know in Morgantown, well, I still know him obviously, but his name is JC Fowler. And he reached out to me one day and asked if I would have any interest in coaching women's wrestling at Waynesburg. I'm like, yeah, sure. I never really like considered that because honestly, I just never thought I would have like good enough qualifications to be a college coach. So
what is it? The imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
She suffers from the imposter syndrome.
Definitely. So JC, reached out to me about that. I'm like, yeah, I'd definitely be interested. And then he reached out to Adam Jack, who works in administrative department in Waynesburg. And, he reached out to me, and long story short, I ended up getting the job, and that's what I'm doing now.
Congratulations.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, like wasn't something that I like seeked really, but it was like it was an opportunity that God put in front of me that I had to take. There was nothing that told me that I shouldn't do this.
I think that also helps your career and your training, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I'm a part of our defensive tactics team at my department, and I trained, right? And then I got this role, and I started to take it more serious until this glass knee decided to act up.
Right.
But like you have to be on the top of your game because now you're entrusted by other people
exactly
to pass on the knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't pass on knowledge you don't have and you're not doing. So it's kind of like an accountability thing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And like it was like when I first like started training that girl, like that's when it became more to me than just training and fighting and like, I feel like it made me more like selfless with it. Like I wasn't like, obviously like I want to train, I want to fight, I want to do well, but like it was more about how can I do this and give back? How can I do this and like actually make a difference? Because if I'm just fighting and like winning, like what am I doing for anybody? Really nothing. Really when you think about it, you're really doing nothing, just fighting and not giving back and like doing for other people. Like there's no point in it. So that was like coaching for me is like, that's the way I can give back. That's the way I can actually make a difference. And that's also why like with like fighting, like my only goal isn't just to make it to the UFC and like make money. Like that's not even like, that's why it's funny. I talk about my dream. Like that's not even my dream anymore. Like I want to actually like use my journey and my experience to like have a voice for girls and boys that are getting sexually abused and talk about that. And like, I don't really know if maybe it won't help anybody, but I'm sure it probably will help somebody, I want to actually give back through this. I don't care about the money that comes with it or where I'm making it. If I have a world, like what the hell does that shit mean? It really means nothing.
No. And I that's something I feel strongly on too. Like if you're not passing on and helping others, like I think that's where the joy comes in, right? Like a lot of times we want money, we want this stuff, and then you have it and you still have the same problems and the same issues.
Exactly.
And like I feel more joy when I'm like, someone comes up to me for advice, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow, dude, like you're trusting me, like
For sure.
why me?
For sure.
Or like, I'm able to help. I have in my center console, I have a bunch of ones, right? And my friends are always like, oh, strip club, right? I'm like, no, actually, like I give these to like the people who like at the, on the bridge,
right?
They're at their signs out.
Yeah,
I'll give them like 5 ones
Justin's
or something like that. Like that's so the joke is like, oh, you got a bunch of singles, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like,
for good cause.
This might be corny, but like I like to give this away, Yeah.
Like
I don't want to give 20s and 5s because I still have to support myself.
For sure, yeah, but, for sure.
Like your boy don't got it like that. If I had enough money, yes, it'd be a stack of 20s or a stack of hundreds. But I see the videos online of like these groups that go out and like they give them a wardrobe makeover, they feed them, they give them a hotel room, and like they help them apply for jobs. And it's like, man, if I had the resources, that's next, right? Like that's something I'm trying to build.
Yeah, for sure.
But I get more joy out of like helping people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like even like after like fights and stuff, like some of the coolest moments are like the people in the like the kids in the crowd, or even like the adults that come up to you and are like, awesome job, and like you like give them like there's like a light in their eyes that like I'm sure it doesn't happen all the time, you know what I mean? And just seeing that and like those are the moments like I love after a fight, like the random people that you like impact, that like we don't realize like what we do and our actions, like how much they actually like affect the people around us. So like I love that if I can have that kind of positive impact on somebody, Funny
story. So we're at the fights and I'm tearing everything down. Me and my brother are walking out. There's this guy standing by the door. He's like, oh, the Relentless Project. And like, I immediately crawl. I'm like,
oh yeah, dude,
like,
I get it. I get it.
Then he's like, man, I listen to you all the time for educational purposes. And like the first thing I tell myself, I'm like, educational purposes? like
have you actually ever listened to one of these?
Jeez, like what am I giving, or what are we giving?
Just life, man.
But it is.
Yeah.
Like how many conversations I've had with people at a bar or at a restaurant or at an event, and I'm like, I'm changed. I'm like, wow, dude, like someone else could hear. And then I go to tell this story that I had to someone else, and I'm like trying to tell it, and I'm not really.
They don't.
It's
like,
not the
what
same.
Are you talking
I'm
about?
like, dude, you had to be there. Like, you had to be there for this conversation. So like, I started having a lot of these, and then people were like, why don't you just start a podcast?
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate being in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I hate having attention.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know enough people that would want to be on this thing to talk with them, right?
Right.
So then against my own judgment, I started a podcast. First episode was me by myself introducing people, like introducing the podcast. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way this is going to be a thing. Like, I fucking hate talking. I love having conversation, but I hate talking. I hate being in front of a camera. I hate attention. Like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And I launched the first episode, and then I tell this story before. That's not even the podcast. That's just like, hey, I'm starting this. This is what you can expect. Someone very close to me reaches out to me. Now, she used to run every day. Something happened to her. Fucking weird dude.
Yeah.
Tried to grab her up in public.
Yeah.
Stopped her from running.
Yeah.
Something she had passion for. She actually writes, after the first episode, which was like 15 minutes of just me talking, which is nothing special. She's like, wow, like I'm so glad you're doing this. I'm so proud of you. Like listening to this, like it inspired me to go out of my comfort zone and start running again. I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's awesome.
So I'm like, well, now maybe I'll do a next one, right? And then I have my first guest, and it was me and Devin, which he's someone I've had on. He's awesome dude, hell of a story. He's goofy. He's a funny dude. I love the guy. He's a professional boxer.
I was gonna say I listen to your podcast too, so I've heard about Devin.
Dude, Devin is, but like when you talk to him, he's a phenomenal dude and has the best of intentions. He's like a golden retriever. He just knocks you out if he's in a competition with you. And then people start writing me for that. I'm like, man, I gotta keep doing this, like because everyone has a story.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone has a story. And like I'm like, I don't want this to be an MMA podcast. Like 247, shout out to them. They have that. They can have it. Like I don't want to be in competition with 247.
Yeah.
But then I'm talking to a lot of fighters, and everyone has a different reason for fighting. Everyone's doing it for different, like everyone has a different goal. Everyone's been through different things. And I'm like, how many people do we walk by every day that we take for granted?
You don't know what people's been through.
You don't know what people have been through. And they walk around, they're living their best life. And you're like, oh, yeah. And then you sit down and you talk with them. And you're like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
yeah.
you didn't. Because we've never talked.
Yep.
It's like, that's why we're doing this.
Yep. No, I think it's awesome. I
appreciate that.
Yeah. I think it's just cool just to, like you said, just to hear other people's stories. Like, what makes you, you know what I mean? Like, how do we get from, birth to what you are now? Like, what happened there that, like, everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Everybody,
Yeah, and I picked things up from this. Like, I forget who it was, but they were like, yeah, we all start on our back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, dude. Like, something so small.
Yeah.
But so true. We all come to this world the same way. Mm-hmm. And we all leave the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, when you start to think about it, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
And there's so many things people go through, good, bad, and in between. Like, we all start the same. We all end the same. We don't take anything with us. We don't take anyone with us. Like, we come in alone. We leave alone. All these things we hear, and you sit down and you're thinking about it, and you're like, wow, that's actually pretty deep if you think about it.
It really is.
A lot of my good saying, like, people are like, man, that's a good saying. I stole it from somebody. I've taken it from some. I am nothing special. Everything I say and regret, it's from people. I think I've learned from people's conversations, man. We all start on our back. You can apply that to jiu-jitsu. You can apply that to life.
For sure.
We all start on our back.
For sure.
We end up on our feet, right? Like, So
yeah.
stuff like that. What do you get the most out of coaching? Like, what is one thing you pull most from being able to share this?
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of things. Like, it helps me in all avenues of my life, whether it's my own fighting, my own training, my own approach to training, just in life, and just like kind of like just touching on, like, we don't know what people's been through. We don't know their story. So building those relationships with like the girls and stuff that I have on my team, and just like kind of learning where they come from, why they're here, is like one of the best parts about it, really. And like just helping them grow, like in the wrestling room and on the mat, but also like in life too. Like I'm not just their coach. I'm kind of like I'm mentoring them in their life. Like they're like 20, 18, 19, 20 years old. Like, so just kind of helping them develop in like this stage in their life. Like, they're away in college. Like, they don't really, like, they have their parents and stuff around, but like I'm probably with them more than their parents are at this point in their life. So just like, it's a really special and unique relationship to have, and I love it so much. It's awesome. So yeah, just mentoring really is like the thing. It's just like helping them grow and become better, and talking to them and giving them like I get it. Like, I get a lot of where they're at right now, because I'm kind of still younger myself. So that and I do love coaching and just helping them. And like we do a lot of individual drill sessions and stuff like that, which is like some of the most fun times coaching, because like we really get to dive into them specifically, like their own, what they need to work on, what they want to get better at. Like, everybody's has their own skills that they're good at or not good at. So like just learning them and who they are, like really in all areas, is like the best thing.
And how to apply that to their specific journey. That's it's instructing is one of the things I love to do. Like, I was teaching our department. There was this one guy who doesn't train at all. Some would quote unquote call him nerdy, right? Amazing brain, doesn't train, doesn't do anything. And so like our approach for the first couple training sessions, because our department decided like, hey, we're going to take defensive tactics very serious. This is something we want to grow, and some we take pride in. So we're like, all the instructors get together, we're like, all right, we got to get like very base levels, like build a foundation, and then get into all the fun, cool stuff. So we're going over like how to pry someone's arm if they're on their belly, right? So very simple technique. And we're going through this, and he's doing it, and he's like, he's getting it. But like, that's what we want. That's what we expect, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're getting the foundation, the principles, right? We don't really care about the technique right now. We're trying to build the foundation and principle. Leverage and all this stuff. Well, like a week later, I'm coming in the shift. I haven't had my caffeine yet. I got my hoodie and my book bag. Yeah. He comes up to me. He's like, bro, you'll never go. Dude, I just used that stuff you taught last. I'm like,
no way.
What? I like put my book back down. It's like, yeah, like dude was down. I put my shoulder down.
Yeah.
Crawl. Yeah. Pulled it out. Put it back. I'm like, you actually did that?
Yeah.
Yo, dude. I'm like, dude. I felt like I did it. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I got so excited.
Yeah.
Just seeing him excited that he learned something, was able to apply it.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I should have said that. That would have been a better answer.
But that's essentially what you're getting to.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like it's so cool to be like,
Yeah.
I had that impact on you, and then you took it, you made it yours, you applied it, and now you're excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, if someone sees that, maybe they get excited about it. Now we got a whole room of women assassins.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, like I mean, obviously, like the guys are cool too, but the girls are so awesome. Because they're so nice and sweet, and then there's like this other like side of them that's like little like murderers, you know?
Yeah, and you're like, oh, you're sweet and innocent, and you want to kill people for fun. Yeah, that's nice.
Yep, and I think it's really. I never had like a really. I mean, I've definitely had some women that I've like taken classes like from, or like Gina Talarico is just one to sit for an example. She black belt Math Factory. Like I'll go to her beginners class and stuff sometimes when I can make it, but I never really had like a female coach. So I think it's like I'm kind of jealous that they have. Like I would love I think it's badass to like this team of just women, you know, are out here doing this. Like it's super cool in like a like really male dominant sport still. So just seeing that, like they're so nice and then they're not nice, you know, and just being a part of it, it's just awesome.
Well, I would say the tides are definitely turning. We're seeing a lot more women join MMA and jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Like I didn't even know there was a girls wrestling team where my daughter goes. And I'm like, there's a girls like you. That's why you weren't telling me, because I was gonna push you into it. You know? Like, but I was at a tournament and it was a kids tournament. And just
the kids are the best.
Watching these kids go in there.
Some of them are so insane.
And applying it. And like you see this kid who's like waddling onto the mat.
Yeah.
And then
barely can walk.
Yeah. And then they're like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on through their little minds? Like
I
want to interview them like,
oh yeah,
what were you thinking when you did it? I don't know.
About pizza.
I'm like, what?
Mom said I can get ice cream if I win.
Like, oh, so you put together a double leg and this and this and this because you were thinking about pizza.
Yeah.
All right. Remind me not to mess with you.
Yeah.
Take your phone away. I end up in a leg lock or something.
Right. Yeah.
It's so cool to see like when the empowerment that comes from training.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I think that's the best thing. Like the empowerment. Like it's cool. Yeah, you're cool. You're doing cool. But like that confidence that you get when you're training and applying the stuff.
Yeah. And just that like release of like, I mean, I'm sure I can speak for a lot of people, but like training for me really helps me just like stay, you know, like right on the line. Like I'm never up here. Like sometimes I'm up here, sometimes I'm down here, but like it really does help. Like just always keep that like middle ground of like, we can't get. There's a quote. See, I'm not good with quotes. I always butcher the quotes.
That's why I have like, this bad boy right here.
Like you always want to like ride that line. Like we never want to get too high or too low, because then like when those highs and those lows come, like we don't know how to come back down and stay like right in the middle. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. That was kind of
being poised.
Yeah.
No, being poised. Like training.
Yeah.
I think clears your mind a lot and helps you deal with a lot of issues because you willingly put yourself through hard, miserable things.
Yeah.
Willingly.
Yeah.
So when life throws you things that you don't want to deal with, but now you have to.
Yeah.
You're like, I just got choked out.
Yeah.
Or I just got put in a horrible position in training.
Yep.
Like, this is a problem at work.
Yep.
I can deal with this.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes what happens is people don't train and people don't have this release. That's why we see the road rage. If you see the road rages and people popping off, it's usually people who've never fought in their life.
Yeah.
They've just always ran their mouths.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get shit for this, but it's people who've ran their mouths and never had consequences. You know, like I'm not going to go into a jiu-jitsu gym and start popping off at the mouth.
Funny story. So I got in a car accident. Well, December. No. I forget when it was. Anyway, but I just recently got this car. So I've had it for like 6 months. And I got through the Squirrel Hill tunnels on 376 and it's coming to stop traffic. Long story short, I stopped, person behind me smashed into my back end. And I get out, I'm all like chill. I'm like, whatever. Like this is like, I was impressed with myself how well I handled that, you know, but I was real chill about it. And the lady was like really nice behind me, but it was just kind of funny just talking like how some people were like, like, you know, have to like yell and get mad and stuff. There was some guy was flying by us, beeping his horn, like, get off the road. And then the guy that was in the passenger seat of the car that hit me, like the one time he said anything the entire time, like he didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't apologize, nothing. He screamed something like you like what's here? What I don't even know what he said, but he's just like you're talking to the like this is happening right now. Like you just totaled my car and your car, and you're worried about this guy flying by giving us a finger because we're on the road. Like,
Yeah,
come
like,
on, dude. Like,
well, it's the same with like
you've never been in a fight in your life.
Exactly. It's like, and then that person stops, reverses, and watch the energy change.
Yeah,
That's my favorite.
I know, right?
Dude, like I'll show up to a call and people are screaming and like you can tell when other officers don't really train and stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna throw some people on the bus, but like they get all flustered and stuff. And like me, I'm just like going there. They're yelling in my face. They have their phone in my face, and I'm like,
cool.
I'm just like, why are you so upset, bro?
Yeah,
like
please relax.
You guys got in an argument?
Yeah.
Oh, guess who's here? Me to stop the argument's done.
Yeah.
Like you go this way, you go. No, I want him arrested. For what? Y'all were arguing. Like people get so worked up because they don't have this release.
Yeah.
And they're like yelling and getting spit. I'm like, dude, chill. Like relax. Like you're making me nervous. Like, why are you so worked up?
Right.
You going through anything?
Yeah.
Like, can I get you a counselor? Like,
yep.
But I think if you have this release, you don't have the need to like just pop off.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody needs that.
Dude, everyone needs to get punched in the face a few times.
100%.
Because like I was that kid growing up.
Yeah.
Loose lips, man.
I
all the fights I got in, I probably deserved. All the ass whoopings I've taken, probably deserved.
Yeah.
Actually, no, definitely deserved. And like the more I started training, the less fights I got into.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how that happens. I'd be at the bar and tend to be the bigger dude. I get the shoulder bump.
Oh,
and I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my bad, bro.
Yeah.
And they just stare, and I'm like,
yeah.
all right. Okay. What's up? You okay? Like, I don't know why. Like, people just like want to start, and I'm just like, dude.
I don't understand that.
Like, my mindset now is I'll walk a mile to avoid
it.
But if it's there, you ain't getting an inch.
Yeah.
Like if we're doing it, all right, let's do it. And I'm like calm. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then people are all worked out. I love that I'll black out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be completely clear-minded.
Which is bad for you.
I don't know if that's a flex.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's why I like fighting. A fighter's mentality is truly interesting.
Yeah. It's just, I can't like how I'm grinning. That's just when people talk like that, I'm like, you just whatever. It's
like, why?
Think whatever you want. Like
I'll kick your. Yeah, you will.
Okay.
Yes, you will. You will make me cry.
Yep.
I will cry for you. Want me to cry? Hold on. No, I can't do it right now. Later. We'll do it later. Like that's the way. Like I try to like. What's the word I'm looking for? Navigate it with humor. Because then sometimes I will get them to laugh.
Oh yeah.
And then it always ends in a handshake when I can make them laugh.
Yeah.
But it's just like, dude, chill. Like you take life so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, we can leave here, get in a car accident, and die.
Yeah.
This is what you want your last moment to be?
Right.
Arguing with me over because you bumped me.
Yeah.
Like chill. Take a chill pill, as the kids say.
Yep.
So you also like to connect with nature, huh?
I do. I love being outside.
That's something that's also coming back. Like a lot of people, I have a client now. One of his biggest things, like I want to be able to put a chicken coop in the back. Oh yeah. And I'm like, all right, well we're avoiding the city.
Yeah.
we're avoiding a lot of the suburbs. We're gonna be in the boonies.
We break the rules.
Yeah. Well, that's the way. Honestly, like you can't have a chicken coop. Like
it's so crazy to me that you. Like I can get like in the city I can get, but like where we live in Penn Hills, I'm like, why can't I have chickens?
Like you have the land for it, do it. Then my mom, we grew up in the projects.
Yeah.
My grandfather grew up in the projects. He would like, I can say this because he's dead now. He would like break their necks.
Yeah.
And like people would be like, well, you can't do that. That's animal abuse.
How do you think
we're about to eat this chicken?
Those chicken breasts that you're cooking that you bought from the store?
You could just get them from the store. No, someone said that.
Yeah. Well, that's how they got.
Like
this is what happened before they were here.
you can't ration for some people. Like I'm like 10 years old trying to explain this to the neighbor. Also trying to explain to my grandfather who doesn't speak English. Like, hey, we're not in Puerto Rico anymore.
Yeah, we
like,
can't do that.
Things here differently. But like, you got to be more subtle. It's just like, well, the chicken's running with his neck broken like, until it dies.
It was a funny story. It's kind of off subject, but a little, not really. It just goes on to like, you can't do that here. So Justin, one day we were driving, I forget where we were going, but he hit a deer, and the deer, it was just like laying in the middle of the road. So like we stop, want to make sure it's okay or whatever. And I'm like, cause I'll be honest, I always carry a gun. I have I carry a gun with me all the time. Yeah,
everyone should carry a gun.
I'm like, well, if it's like, doesn't get up, like maybe we should probably just kill it. Like I have a gun I have my gun in the car. Like he's like, Karli, you can't, like, we're in Penn Hills. Like, you can't do that here. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you can't do that here. I'm like,
can you not?
Like, if this is suffering, why would we let it?
As long as you, like, and that's what I tell people, like, because we had a dude do that. He, like, called the police on himself, like, so scared.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you called the police, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think you're good. We'll notify the game commission.
It's
like,
cool. Like,
you're fine.
You did the right thing, probably.
That's where I'm at. I don't know the rules. You
I
start
don't
popping deer off
Yeah.
in the city, you might get looked at.
But I mean, and I guess I get that now. And the deer was okay. She ended up getting up and running away and stuff.
And
I think
you wanted to kill. No.
I know. I would have felt so
like,
bad.
Put it out of his misery.
Well,
it gets up, walks away, like, damn, you hit me.
Yeah. So thankfully we didn't have to kill any deer, and it was okay.
But it goes to show you like how times change.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like back like. I didn't grow up hunting. I don't have the patience to hunt. And like now, I just
honestly neither do I.
I can't.
Neither do I.
But as a cop, we have to put down a lot of deer.
Yeah,
you know, it's just, it is what it is. The first time in my last department, we couldn't shoot it because of where it was at. There was like a lot of cars and people.
Yeah.
So the guy, my partner, was an avid hunter.
Yeah.
So he dispatched the deer hands on.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him like, damn, dude, you're a savage. She's like, what?
This is just normal.
Dude, like, I don't want to get too like violent, but he like, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dang, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, how else do you think it was going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I didn't think about that.
Right.
Like, we're not just going to shoot in the middle of a populated place.
Right.
But like, this is something he does all the time as a hunter.
Yeah.
And here I am from the city, like, damn, bro, that's savage.
Right.
You're about to be a serial killer. You know? Like, I've seen documentaries on this.
Right.
And he's just like, no
big
this
deal.
is what I do every day.
Yeah.
He's like, I won't take you to my barn then.
Yeah.
So he took me to his barn. He's got deer lined up because he processes it for people and stuff.
Awesome.
I'm like, okay,
awesome.
makes sense. So what you like have passions for like gardening and stuff?
Yeah, so like I love so growing up, like my mom gardened and stuff a lot. And we would always like just like hike and like go to the river and like I said, we play outside and stuff. So like I've always been like super just connected to like nature. So you know I like even now like where we live, I I plant a garden every single year. It's definitely been like trial and error, like, you know.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like definitely
me and soil don't get along.
Yeah, I don't have a super green thumb or anything like that. Like I kill things more than I don't kill things, but I just like it. Like even when I'm like I look up in my bare feet and just like, you know, be all dirty and stuff. Like I love it.
Grounding.
Grounding. Yeah, it's such a real thing. So yeah, I just love it. Like it's from a child. Like I love planting garden with my mom. So yeah, I do that every year, and we have the chickens, and that kind of just came from like really that was like I think chickens are the only farm animal I can have in Penn Hills because we can have 4. We're allowed to have 4, but we have 8. Don't tell nobody.
Well, 4 little ones times 2. That's
yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's 4.
So yeah, like the chickens were the only thing that we could have in Penn Hills, so that's why we got the chickens. We actually had ducks for a little bit too. We had like 3 ducks at one point, so the ducks were dope.
What do you do with the ducks?
They just waddled. Like we literally just let them in our backyard. Like they just
pet ducks.
Yeah, they just like walked down the backyard, hung out. We had like a little like kiddie pool for them. They'd swim in. Which is so awesome to see. I don't know if you ever like watch a duck like swim or like play in the water. It's just super.
They put their head down and
I love watching them. They're just like
it's therapeutic.
Oh, it definitely is, definitely. And like we got eggs from them and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's just like I want to, you know, be able to sustain myself like eventually for the most part. Like I know, you know, there's always gonna. I mean, not always, but it's very. Actually like living on a homestead, I think is a lot harder than people think it is.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, and I'm fully aware of that. So like I just like want to be able to provide some stuff for ourselves. Like if it could be either I'd like to have like beef cows and stuff one day eventually too. And like just a bigger garden, more chickens. Like, you know, nothing too crazy.
Like I grew up in that environment too. It's crazy to see a cow in person. You're just like dude, these things are huge.
Yeah. Me and my friends, when we were kids, my one friend lived next door to this cow farmer, and we used to like go in the field and like get the cows to like chase us.
They're mean.
I know.
Dude, cows are mean.
Yeah, it was like we were like a little adrenaline junkies. We'd get them to chase us, and this one time we were we had some friends that weren't as like athletic as us. So, and the one time we were booking from these cows, and the girl decided to. Like, I tried to tell her, like, you stay up here, like, you get out here, I'm gonna run down here and get out. And I don't know why she decided to follow me. And I also am not sure why I was like, didn't just follow her. But she decided to follow me, and it wasn't, she had a hard time getting out of the fence where I picked to go. Because we were all just trying to, like, go in different directions because we didn't know, like.
Yeah, well, you gotta zigzag.
Yeah,
You're
exactly. So, like, we were just trying to all dodge, and yeah. But,
you can dodge a cow, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Dude, they are mean.
I know.
Like, you see the cartoon renditions of cows, and you're like, oh, I like, pink nose, pink belly. These things are huge and mean, and sometimes just like not spotted.
Right.
You see a not spotted cow, you're like, that's not a cow.
Yeah. What gets me is I don't know if you've ever seen these videos on like Instagram where people like have them in their house and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so fake. Like, there's no way.
No, they bring them in. They're like, this is my pet cow. And then they take them back outside.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so crazy to me.
Or like the pigs.
Like,
pigs in the house.
Yeah.
Like, you got a pig for a pet? Come on. There's no way.
Yeah.
You're the epitome. You ever heard be a warrior in the garden, not a gardener in the war? That's you.
Yeah.
A warrior sitting here gardening. My grandfather was a huge gardener.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed in his garden.
Yeah.
Like, he would grow things. So like, I like made a little garden on the side of his garden.
Right.
And like would try to do what he does. And I remember the first time I grew cilantro.
Okay.
I'm like, I got it. It was like the best thing. I'm like showing my mom, and I'm like, look what I grew. Look what I grew. Meanwhile, he's got an entire like tomatoes and all kinds of stuff.
It's so satisfying though. Like, I think that's why like I put the effort into it. Is because like growing your own, like eating something that you grow is like, there's nothing like it.
It's yours.
It's
like
I
did this.
Like, I worked hard for that.
It's like a life lesson, right?
Yeah.
You plant the seed, you water it, you tend to it, and you watch it turn into something.
Yep.
Like, that's what you have to do with life.
And it lets you know when you're abusing it and not giving it water because it looks a little frail and tired and
like, oh, I've been
droopy.
ignoring you.
It's dried out a little bit. It's sad. So you gotta water it.
It's like, come play with me.
Yeah.
What are she said it's sad. Well,
they get sad.
I heard that plants have feelings.
Yeah.
Not like human feelings, but like it knows when it's like there was a study where they played like different types of music.
I believe it.
And they attach some sensors or something to it, and you can see the plant react to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it feels real or not, but I'm like, dude, that's great. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's a living thing. They
say get in touch with nature.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to like deny like that we are connected to nature like in some form, you know, like I don't know how to, like, even if you look at like even like a butterfly and like you put like a light on like the veins and stuff that are in it, like everything is just so like
by design.
Yeah. It's like we're nature in some form, you know?
Well, like what do we get returned to?
Nothing.
Nature.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like
yeah.
We can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like I like watching stuff like that. I found a video of some kid going off about water.
Yeah.
Like how water is living.
Yeah.
You know, and he started going off on stuff, and he's like, you know, if you talk to your water, dude, there was a point where I was like,
you were convinced water's living.
Like, well, I'm still not fully convinced it's not. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking at my water and I'm like, you looking at me? Like, should I be putting you away?
Right. That's interesting.
So I'm drinking it because like you talk about different waters from different locations and the alkaline level and pH. Like there's so many nuances to water now. Like water's being this thing, and now there's videos on how water
is living.
I'm
gonna research.
Well,
that.
so there was and I don't know if this is real or not. Take that with a grain of salt, but you show water an image and you freeze it and it would freeze that image or something like that. I'm gonna have to look that up, but I was reading that too and I'm like, there's no way. I've never done it, so I can't speak on it, but like all these things that pop up that makes you think like, man,
could that be real?
Is there something?
It's so interesting to think about that because I think like, I don't know. Almost nothing is impossible in some way.
Nothing is impossible.
Yeah, like it's
like flying was impossible like until a plane was made.
Right. And I just think of like the complexity of like even us as humans, like how I don't know. God's an amazing being, you know what I mean?
Well, think like gravity.
Like it just makes you think there's nothing that probably can't be done in some way, you know?
It's impossible until it's done.
Exactly.
Like I said, flying. There was a point in time where birds were the only thing in the air.
Yep.
And you're like, we would never see the world. We would never see the world from up there.
Right.
And now we take that for granted in planes with our shades down, watching our YouTube videos or listening to music. You're literally.
I wish the windows were bigger on planes.
I wish it was one big window.
Right, that'd be awesome.
That'd
be kind of
Look
scary.
down. But great. But most things that are awesome come from the other side of fear.
Oh yeah.
Like when I went skydiving for the first time.
How was that?
It's a feeling I can't explain.
Yeah.
Like stepping off that plane.
I could.
And you're just like looking at. Well, here's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Fear, right?
Yeah.
You get a choice.
Yeah.
You're up there. No, the first one you have to do tandem. That's when you're attached to someone, and they ask you like, "Hey, do you want to go? Are you ready?"
Yeah.
You can say no.
Yeah.
And then guess what?
Yeah.
You sit down.
And they take you back.
They land the plane.
Yeah.
That's it.
Deal.
You're safe. You can say yes. And it's probably the scariest couple minutes of your life. But then what's on the other side of that is this feeling that you just can't replicate anywhere else. You're looking at this thing, and like I could have said no, and I wanted to. In my head, I'm like, dude, this is the dumbest shit I've ever done. I'm jumping out of a perfectly good plane. Why?
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, are you ready? Do you want to go? And I'm just like,
maybe not.
fuck it. No, I said, fuck it. We step off. I see the plane keep going, and I'm falling, and I'm like, well, there's no choice now.
Yeah.
All the choices out of my hands.
Yeah.
You know, and we're falling, and I'm like, and I paid for the video package because I want to see. So the dude's flying in front of me with a camera, and then I'm in front of a camera. I have to look cool, you know, and then the parachute opens, and then it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Oh, okay.
You're up there. He's like, how was it? I'm like, dude, this, and I'm just looking, and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I'm literally looking from the sky.
Yeah. That is kind of
like you're just looking at everything. You're so high up. It looks fake. It looks like I'm like, this is fake. This,
like not real. Wow.
Someone's gonna flip a switch and I'm gonna be in a room.
Yeah.
You're just up there, and then you're landing, and as the closer you come, the things start moving faster.
Yeah.
When you're up there, everything's so slow.
Yeah.
Because you're so far away.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then you get closer, the ground starts moving, and then that fear comes back, and then you land, and then you're just like,
yeah,
like the adrenaline dump. You want to become a better fighter, go skydiving.
You know what's funny is I almost did one time, and this is so I'm surprised I'm gonna even admit this, but so I was scheduled to do it, and so I wouldn't say if it's lucky or not lucky, but that day it was like the weather was like bad, so they ended up having to cancel it, and they're like, you can reschedule or like not, and I just never rescheduled, and because I was terrified to go, like I was contemplating the entire. I'm like, do I even want to do this? Do I not?
You do. I promise you.
So
do.
maybe me and Justin.
Valentine's Day. Valentine's is coming up. Actually, I think when this airs, will probably be Valentine's.
Yeah.
But one thing you guys should do when the weather gets better,
skydive.
They have it at Grove City.
Okay.
Fairly close.
Yeah.
Skydive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it together. Boom. You jump off, he jumps off, or the general should go first. Always. Yeah. He jumps off, then you jump off.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the bonding you guys are gonna do because of that.
Yeah. That'd probably be crazy.
I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And then I loved it so much I wanted to do it myself.
Yeah.
So I did 3 what's called instructor AIF or whatever.
Because you have to be
you have to get licensed.
Yeah.
But to get licensed you have to do these jumps.
Right.
So I'm up there and the instructor has my parachute out and they give you a whole course before you go, but I have to crawl out of this plane and hang on to the wing and look at him. And then he'll tell you when to let go.
Oh boy.
So I'm by myself now.
And you're hanging on this plane.
Hanging on this wing.
Feet not attached to anything.
Nothing. Feet in the wind. I'm like this. I'm looking at him and he's like, go. And I'm watching the plane go. And so he has the parachute because you fall at a lower level. Okay. So your parachute opens up immediately. You're not free falling because that's where a lot of the accidents and stuff happen because you have to fall a certain way and all that. So I'm falling and it felt like forever.
Yeah.
And then my parachute opens and I'm up there by myself. And I have this little radio and they're like, all right, go left. They're like, all right, we're on course. So you're getting walked through everything as you're coming down, but you're up there by yourself. And
that's crazy.
Dude, I did this.
Yeah.
I did this.
That's cool.
Then I did it again and broke my heel. But
oh boy.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it one time. I think so my question would be, how long is it actually? Like, because you says it feels like forever. Like, is it like how long is it actually?
So a full jump.
Yeah.
A full jump. You're free falling for about a minute.
Okay. How long does it feel?
Oh, it feels like forever.
That's so. It's well, I asked that because I feel like that in fighting. Like when I'm in a moment, like when I got taken down in my last fight, like being on my back in that position felt like forever. And it was like a minute.
Yeah.
You know,
it's that feeling.
Yeah.
Except you don't have the feeling of like someone's trying to kill you. You have the feeling of like
I might die.
Freedom, relief. No,
Oh, okay.
no. You're just like,
okay.
once that jump, the hardest part
It's
is
just jumping.
stepping off.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Especially when you're attached to someone.
Yeah.
Like, because after that, it's out of your hands.
Yeah.
Nothing matters.
Yeah.
You're just up there like,
Yeah.
I'm falling.
Yeah.
And you're looking at everything. And you're turning and you see the world. Like,
Yeah.
you almost see the curvature of the world. You're
Yeah.
like, that's why you flat earthers
Yeah.
that go skydiving. That'll disprove that. But you're just sitting there, you're falling for like about a minute.
Yeah.
Then your parachute goes up. And then that descent depends on where you pull from. But
Yeah.
it could be a couple minutes because it's
Yeah.
slow. You know,
Yeah.
You're navigating the skies.
I'll
at
be
the
brave
end.
enough one day, I think.
I'll tell you this. If you can go in a cage and
Yeah.
fight someone who wants to
I
inflict
could jump
harm
out
on
of a
you,
plane.
jumping on the plane is the least frightening thing you're going to do.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Because, like,
Yeah.
I do that. I don't go in a cage anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do that. It just
Yeah.
wasn't for me. you
Yeah.
know? It's for people like you. Okay. A lot better than me. But it's if you can get in a cage, and that's
Yeah.
the thing, like, you do hard things.
Yeah.
If you skydive, if you do these scary things,
Yeah.
nothing is impossible.
Right.
Right? Like, someone's yelling at you.
Okay.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I fight for fun.
Yeah.
I fight professionally.
Yeah.
You yelling at me it's not a problem to me,
Yeah.
right? Like you're on a ladder that's a little high.
Yeah.
I jumped out of 14,000 feet.
Right.
Like this. I mean, this will probably do more damage than jumping out of a plane because whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have a parachute.
Yeah.
But like things start to matter differently.
Yeah. that
When you
makes
do
sense.
a lot of harder things, there's a saying: you can choose to do hard now and live easy, or you can choose easy now and
Yeah.
live hard.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like you can willingly do hard things that'll make your life quote unquote easier. Now it's not easier. You're just better equipped to deal with hard things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can live life easy and then be confronted with hard things that you don't know how to navigate.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think like even just like my childhood growing up, like even though like I didn't have like a really, really hard childhood, but like my mom always made us do hard things. Like most kids don't want to like
We're doing sports.
Yeah.
Like now's generation they're in front of an iPad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like they weren't like we played sports. We had to play out. Like we weren't allowed to sit on the house and watch TV and play video games. Like we didn't even have that. I mean, we had a TV, but we didn't have like video games or Xbox. Like my mom was like, "You can go outside and play. We're gonna help in the garden. You're gonna feed the horses. It's 20 degrees outside and the water trough's frozen. You're carrying hot buckets of water from inside to outside to melt that. You know, like we always just did hard stuff growing up, and I think just that it really like set the pace for like my rest of my life. You know what I mean?
It's monumental to a child's development to do stuff like that. You know, like caring for a dog. Like little things like that. Like you have a dog, but the child never feeds the dog.
Yep.
Pets
It's
the
not
dog.
that it's not even hard. It's
not
just
hard. It's
discipline.
It's
like
discipline. Like
you know?
you're in charge of a being,
Yep.
a living thing. You have to walk it. You have to
Yep.
clean up after it. You
Yep.
know how easy it is? Your dog poops in your yard and you can go,
Yeah.
I'll get that later.
Yeah.
But then you step in it later.
Yep.
Or, you know, someone else steps in it.
Yep.
Or now it poops again. Now you have two things to clean
Yep.
up. And now you don't have time.
Yep.
Right? But now you have to clean up. You ignore that one, right? And then, like, it's little thing that thing we're talking about. You can do little things.
Yeah.
But it works on the other way too. You ignore one little thing, well, that stacks up.
Yep.
You ignore another little, that stacks up.
Yep.
Now you have this stack of things you've ignored, or this stack of things you've gone over and beyond with.
Yep.
Like, which stack would you rather have?
Yeah, exactly.
One requires little work. The other one is laziness.
Yeah.
So I think it's monumental for kids to grow up like that.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I mean, and I was guilty of it too. You know, I you know, having, you know, my daughter lives with me. It's hard as a, you know, single dad to like be everywhere at once. You know, and now she's a young teen growing into her own thing. So like, it's easy when she was younger to be like, oh, just sit on this iPad because I got to work, or sit on this iPad, I got to do laundry.
Yeah.
But like, you miss a lot of that youth and development on their end too.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, hey, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or let's go to the park.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing. We'll play basketball. We'll play volleyball.
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm like, let's go do something. We'll play Uno. Like,
Yeah.
like Uno in our house is, dude. I tell him like, we are not friends when this deck is out, dude. And we
That's
get
awesome.
after it.
Yeah.
And we play different. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna.
Do you guys like stack and stuff
So
too?
we stack. So people go, if you come to my house, it's like beer pong house rules.
Yeah.
With Uno, don't know how to play Uno. The people who made Uno didn't know what they were doing. They missed a huge opportunity. So you can stack draw twos on draw twos and draw twos on draw fours and draw fours on draw twos.
Okay.
Yeah. So you put a draw four down. It's
I
just
can
you
put
and me.
Yeah.
You put a draw four down. You got a blue left. Uno, draw four down. Right.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd be cooked because I have to draw four.
Yeah.
And then you get to go.
Yeah.
Nah. If I have a draw two in my hand, no matter what color, boom, you're no longer at Uno. Now you have to draw six.
Okay.
We get, and people don't agree with that, but that's how we play, and it adds a level of intensity to the game. Because like my daughter loves to save it till the end,
And then just cook you.
boom, draw four, and I'm like, you thought draw six, you're back in the
got
game,
more.
dude. And she's
down.
like press, so now she won't save it till the end. She'll like hold it, and
Yeah.
if we both at Uno.
Yeah.
She's like, he has a draw and I have a draw.
Yeah.
Who's gonna put it down first? Because then stacked.
Yeah.
So that we play like that.
That's funny.
Can get intense.
So the girls on the wrestling team are like big into Uno too. Like it's like their game. They play it all the time with each other. And there's one time we played before a match. And they kept stacking. Like I don't know how, but they like all had a +2 or +4 or whatever. And then finally gets to me, and I'm like, I had to pick up like 16 cards or something. I'm
So
like,
y'all play that way too?
Yeah.
So it's not okay.
It's not. No.
It's not
Well,
just
I
me.
never did. I never did because really we did. I mean, me and my mom played cards growing up, but we played like 500 rummy and stuff like that. So we
like
did,
actual cards.
yeah, we didn't play like Uno, but so I didn't know about the stack thing. So they had to explain it to me. So of course I'm like delusional, I have no idea what's happening, and then they're just crushing me with all these stacking cards. And I guess they bought like, because there's a ton of them obviously, and they'll play with the guys sometimes even, and they bought like 3 or 4 decks of cards and put them all together. And then like the wild card where you can like just switch the color.
Yeah.
They wrote on there like +15 and stuff.
So there's
I'm like, you guys are insane.
So the new Uno has like an empty spot that's a wild, but you can put a rule.
Yeah.
So what we do
Okay.
is we'll put a number.
Yeah.
Right? Like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then we'll pull out a piece of paper and we'll be like, hey, for today, 1 is this rule.
Okay.
2 is this rule. So you can always change the rule.
Yeah.
And like kids, it's always kids. Well, +30.
Come on.
I'm like, come on, let's be
Bro,
realistic.
that's a whole deck.
Yeah, like let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Let's make it fun.
Yeah.
And like, or they'll be like, you know, if I put this card down, this rule is this. But if you put this, no, you can't add like layered rules
Right.
to it. Like, let's like now we're getting.
I love when you're playing a game with a kid and they just add rules on their own. I'm like, this is not.
It's my daughter.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
So like,
That's what Cameron or Justin's little nephew will do that sometimes. I'm like, dude.
it's a kid thing. Like the draws, right?
Yeah.
She'll put a draw 4 down. She's out.
Yeah.
Technically, she wins.
Yeah.
Right. But if I stack it, now she has to draw 6, so she's technically back in. That's
Right.
how we've always played. Well, this time she ends with the draw 4. I stack it. She's like, no, I have no cards left. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we've played this way
Yeah.
every single time.
Right.
And the last time that I ended with a draw 4, you stacked me and I couldn't end. And now she's like, no, we've never played like that.
Right.
You don't just get to change the game right now. This is how we've
like
always
they change
played.
the rules in their favor. Like that's not how this works.
I'm like, good approach at life. Like navigate. Not here.
Yeah.
Not Uno. We're not playing that.
What's the worst is when they actually fairly beat you.
Dude,
know,
she crushed me yesterday.
And then they can
lost
just
3
rub it
games a
in.
row.
It's like, man.
I lost 3 games, and I
Yeah.
know when I get home, you know, she's gonna be like,
Yeah.
so who's the Uno champion? Like, how was school today? You have homework? Go do homework. Well, oh, your room needs go clean your room. Yeah,
you make your bed this
Yeah,
morning?
don't play with me. Like, I'm the Uno champion.
Yeah.
You won 3 times yesterday. I beat you every other time. Like relax. No, but who won? Who won yesterday?
Isn't that some? But that was like that's the worst thing when they like rub it in, and
Dude.
it's like you get so mad, but it's like then it's like you're like 9, like I can't.
Oh, but I can't because she trains. Oh, I tell her, I'm like, you know, you can't. Like, we could fight, and we will,
Yeah,
dude. And we'll be like at Target, and I'll be like, oh, I just want to punch you in the face, and she'll see people around, she'll be like, do it, and I'm like, don't play with me. She's like, You want to punch me? Do it. I'm like, all right, chill. Okay, you won this one. She looks at me and she'll start laughing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You little.
oh my God, we got it. I'm like,
Wait till we get home.
Wait till we get home. Oh, we're going to put the mats down. And she'll be like, no, we're fine. Oh, we're changing the rules on that?
Exactly. They always want to change the rules.
Kids. Don't be that kid.
Yeah, don't be that kid.
Well, there's an ADHD in me.
Yeah.
So people have listened to this episode, right? They got your story. They what's one, now the episode's over, maybe they're out of their car, they're going about their day. What's one thing you want people to take from this episode?
Life isn't that serious. I think we talked about a lot of like pretty deep stuff, but I think we had a lot of like fun conversation, laughed a lot. So I think that kind of just shows like, like life is going to be hard, but like there's so much like joy in it too. And, let's just focus on that, like take the good and the bad and just like ride the wave. Like that's
you
really,
surf?
No.
Ride the wave.
I don't know. Like,
that's
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I try to tell people it's like a game, right? Like you ever played a game where you get to a certain level and then like the progress saves,
Yeah.
right? And then you keep going, you die. Well, now you start back at that level, and then you keep. It's like if you get to wake up, like waking up is the biggest gift you can have.
Yeah.
You wake up, you're breathing. That's a new opportunity. It's a new day. You didn't start where this person started.
Yep.
You're not where they're at.
Nope.
Or you may be down, you may be up, or you may be in between, but like you have an opportunity. Like it's a new opportunity.
Yep.
And I think we overlook that a lot,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Like we go to bed mad with our significant other.
Yeah.
We wake up and that's where we want to.
Yep. Let's not start there.
Let's not start there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, new opportunity.
Yep.
We can talk about, hey,
Yeah.
yesterday I didn't appreciate this.
Yep.
Like this is how I feel. Can we move past it? Like let's
Yeah.
like, or your job fired you, right?
Yeah.
You wake up, you're unemployed. It's easy to be like, man, I'm unemployed. My life's.
Yeah.
Or hey, new opportunity. You
Yeah.
know how oftentimes people, when that happens, and then they get a better opportunity, like now you have a better job, making more money. You're not mad you got fired.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're grateful you got fired.
Yeah.
But until that opportunity comes, you're upset. And I get it. It's easy to be, or a relationship, right? Like your relationship ends. And you're like, man, you hate this person. Da, 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 da. You find someone.
Yeah.
They make you happier than you've ever been.
Yep.
You're like, wow, this is what happened. You're not mad you got broken up with or you broke up with that person. You're not mad that relationship ended. It had to end for this to begin.
Yep. Exactly.
Like when things are not going well, that's a good opportunity to be like, all right, let's save the progress here. Now where? Now where can we go?
Yep.
So where can people follow you? Like if they want to continue they want to continue this journey with you.
Yeah. I get Instagram probably be the best place. I think it's.
I'll tag it.
Yeah. I think it's Karli _Jo _MMA. I'm pretty sure the underscores are right. That would probably be the best place. I post most of the time there. Facebook too. Karli Jo Thomas on there. But mostly Instagram. I don't do Twitter or anything like that. Follow.
X.
Yeah.
It's X now.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's X now.
As you see. As you see,
you still put Twitter, it takes you there. That I just got approached. Like I'm like Twitter X, Twitter X Twitter. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, but that's what I would say is it. I'll obviously follow like Matt Factory page, stuff like that. I mean, I post about my fights there and everything too. So, but
that'll also be tagged. And before we end, like what can people expect next from you? Like where do you see yourself going in the next few years? What are some goals you have?
Yeah, so definitely looking to make my pro debut this year. Hopefully late spring, early summer. Shooting for April if everything works out. But we never really know. We don't put a timeline on really anything.
We just ride the wave.
Just ride the wave. I'm telling you, that's the key to life. You just got to go with the flow. I guess here I am just backtracking, but that's one of my biggest things too. With what are my I don't even set goals. It's kind of I do, but they're very vague. Because if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's probably not. It's not gonna just happen there. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I was I'm gonna make my amateur debut at 18. And I'm gonna be pro by this time, and I'm gonna be in the UFC. it did not happen like that. I kind of know where I want to go, but we can't be focused on just that. What was the original question? I'm sorry. I was I got off subject.
I don't even know what the original. Oh, what's in the future? What's in the future?
Oh yeah. So But yeah, pro debut hopefully this year, sometime early spring or late spring, early summer, and then just kind of, just gonna fight until I, if I make it, cool. If not, whatever. Gonna fight and train and coach, and I just kind of see how it goes. I don't, like I said, I just don't try to set anything too specific, just because I don't. I love what I do. So whether I fight or whether I don't fight, I enjoy like my life every day. So that's, and I think that's why I'll make it far.
I think that's the key to life.
Yeah.
If you love what you do, the rest kind of writes itself out.
Yeah. But the pro debut everybody's waiting for, that is coming.
Good.
I know everybody's been like, when are you going pro? For like a year now. So that's definitely happening.
Does that add pressure to go pro, or just kind of like you're riding the wave?
Not really. Like,
she just said "fuck you" to all of you.
Yeah.
So, no,
like,
I'm kidding.
I mean, I know, like, I've had expectations for myself, and I'm the only person that knows how I feel when I'm in there. Like, even if it looks good, you don't know, like, what's happening in my brain. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm more tired than you see, and I want to work on my conditioning before I go and have to fight 5 minutes. Or maybe I feel too, like, not in control in certain positions, or, like, emotionally not being able to control certain things. So, like, that's why I never, like, listened to what other people said about, like, go pro, because, like, I've had expectations before then. So, no, not a lot of pressure on that. I don't really, I try to just do what I know is best for me.
Ride the wave.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be, that's the.
You like it, huh?
I do. That's the theme of today's.
Yeah.
Just ride the wave.
Yeah.
Go through the fire.
Yep.
Jump, take that jump.
Yep. Yeah. I guess we're skydiving,
Yeah.
Justin.
Hey, this is pressure to skydive. I mean, if you say no, there's nothing I can do about it, but highly encouraged.
Yeah.
Well, Karli, I appreciate you for
man.
jumping on, sharing your story. This is the one with Karli Jo Thomas, and we're done.
Let's go.
Later.
Thank you.